Hello and welcome back to Arvania Constructions. Today I'm building something I've wanted to tackle for quite a while. A Minecraft diorama. Let's see what we have here to get started. It's a grass block and a torch. Looks like we're set to begin. Now let's check out what this Minecraft world has to offer. So grab a cup of your favorite drink, sit back and enjoy the process of this project. I designed a structure beforehand in Blender to help me visualize how many blocks I'd need, and did some planning on said needed blocks. I begin by laying out the blocks in rows of 15. I make sure the grain faces outwards, while any visible cut edges are neatly tucked away. Some pieces varied quite a bit in size, so I had to pay close attention. Each row needed to be just right. Once everything's aligned, I glue each row together using PVA glue, applied with a silicone sculpting tool. I'm pretty sure most of you know Minecraft. Maybe you've only heard of it, or maybe you've spent several hours playing it yourself. Either way, Minecraft has become a true classic in gaming history. It's been around for over a decade now and it's finally got a film adaptation. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, especially the nature scenes. The way the trees swayed in the wind, I just wanted to walk right into the screen and explore this world myself. And when the Minecraft music started playing, wow, goosebumps. I listen to those soundtracks every day while I work, so hearing it in a movie felt like coming home. But alright, back to reality and back to gluing tiny blocks together. It takes quite a while, and watching glue dry is only poetic up to a point. Once everything had set, I ended up with two plates. One measuring 15 by 15 and the other 14 by 15. That's intentional. These two panels will eventually come together to form a cube. After sanding the edges down, I can start painting them. I begin with the dirt blocks. A deep muddy brown set the stage as the base coat. Then, one by one, I started adding tiny strokes and dots in a lighter sandy brown on every visible side of each block. I love how this light brown pops against the darker base. It adds so much texture. And I know there are a lot of tiny dots to be painted, but it's kind of relaxing. It was a slow process, almost endless, but there was something strangely meditative about it, like painting tiny stories into the dirt. It took a while, but the texture slowly came to life. To finish, I added darker lines in between the lighter ones, giving it that familiar pixelated look. Now it's time for the ground blade. I begin by painting the ground blue where the water will go. The rest of the surface is covered in a dark grey, a foundation for the stones that will soon rise from it. Around the water pit I start placing blocks, layer by layer, to support what will become the shimmering water, and to shape the little cave tucked beside it. Inside the cave I want things to feel layered, like a real Minecraft cave would. Not just one flat surface, but tiny ledges and platforms, almost like it's been slowly carved by time. You know, the kind of place where you'd peek around a corner and find a hidden chest, or hear a creeper hissing. So I'm adding extra blocks here and there, building my heights to make it feel alive. Once the cave structure feels right, I begin painting. I paint the blocks in various grays, as well as brown for dirt and green for moss, which is essential in lush caves. Each block gets a mix of light and dark strokes to match the texture scheme I go for. Except, of course, for cobblestone, deep slate or bricks, which get their normal pattern plus some moss, as if the cave has been slowly reclaiming itself. Then comes the flocking. I dab PVA glue onto the mossy blocks and press on a fine layer of flock. One I've used before in pieces like this or this. I apply glue once more to the green blocks, but this time reaching for my static grass applicator. With a gentle charge it sends tiny grass fibers dancing through the air, landing upright and soft. Now onto the water blocks. First, I measure out equal parts A and B, which I then mix together. I decided on different shades of blue to give the resin a rich, aquatic hue. Slowly and carefully I stir in just a tiny bit of each color until the mixture reaches the right shade of blue. Deep enough to feel like water, yet translucent enough to catch the light. Once everything is mixed, I pour it into a mold. One designed for miniature ice cubes. As it happens, the size is just right, 1 by 1 centimeter, which is perfect for the water blocks. Well, not every cube came out perfect. Some show tiny dents where the resin didn't reach the top. But most turn out beautifully. And the rest? I'll keep them in a jar. They might be just right for another project. The mold creates a slight taper at the base of each cube. But once they're fitted into place, flush with the surface, no one will notice a thing. One by one, I glue the water blocks into the diorama, carefully fitting each piece like a tile. After I paint the so-called lid of the cube green to be ready for the grass, I start painting the floor where the house will sit. I paint those blocks a warm brown tone to represent the wooden floor, and then sketch tiny blanks onto the surface using a colored pencil. Next, I press out the pond area and flock the remaining green patches with PVA glue and grass, just like I did before. I decided to build by a quiet little pond. There's something comforting about the soft trickle of water and the way sunlight dances through the leaves. The plan was simple, a small modest structure. A temporary shelter, if you will, perhaps something humble to begin with. But let's face it, I've never been particularly good at keeping things simple. This is the second wooden floor for the upper level. Let's move on to the house. I use EVA foam strips to construct the house. I secure it with toothpicks and PVA glue to make sure everything holds in place. Simple tools, but they do the job well. To fill the gaps between the foam pieces, I use wool filler, an old favorite of mine, and a similar site for those who've been watching my videos for a while now. It smooths out the surface and makes everything feel more solid and finished. Also very suitable for filling in imperfections of 3D prints. Then I cut small slits into the sides of the house to install flat magnets. 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. These let the house come apart so you can look inside. The roof lifts off too. It almost feels like a toy, a bit like Polly Pocket. Once the filler is dried, I paint the entire house in an off-white shade. The entrance gets a coat of light grey. I chose this look because when I play Minecraft, I love building sleek modern houses with white concrete. And the door is painted in a rich brown. Unfortunately enough, this is no chocolate. To make the door functional, I add in a bit of wire and press it into the house. For a cozy atmosphere, I add these little torches beside the door, perfect for lighting the path at night, and to keep unwanted visitors at bay. And then finally, the windows. They are made from the clear lid of a takeaway sushi container I rescued from the bin, because let's face it, I rarely throw useful things away. It has just the right thickness, sturdy enough to hold its shape, and once glued in, it brings the whole house together. I start by cutting some blocks out of EVA foam, the same kind I used for the house earlier. With my beloved Broxy, it's a breeze. To get that leafy look, I use pliers to carefully tear out small bits of foam. Not too much though, I still want to keep the cube shape intact. It's a fine line between organic and pixel perfect. Now I place the cubes in neat rows and glue them together once again. Once they've set, I begin plucking out little pieces to shape the foliage. No need to carve and glue each block individually. This way, I only have to texture the visible sides and the contact surfaces stay nice and big. Once that's done, it's time for paint. The bushes get a darker green, while the leaves of the tree turn a light pink. There's just something about cherry blossoms. They make everything feel a bit more peaceful. And after painting the trunk in the same way as the previous blocks, I assemble the tree. Time to bring myself into this little world. I carved a tiny figure from EVA foam, cutting out the rough shapes. Head, torso, arms and legs. And soon the character starts to feel familiar. A bit of sanding to make the surface ready for painting. Just like in a game, with a few colors and pixels, you try to capture who you are or who you want to be. I usually play as myself, meaning blonde hair swept to the side. Tiny black eyes, soft rosy cheeks and a simple smile to make it cute. My lumberjack flannel shirt, red and checkered as it should be, is more than just a piece of clothing. Okay, to keep the spotlight where it belongs, I pair it with simple black trousers. Until he feels like me, a miniature self, ready to live among mossy blocks and axolotl ponds. And speaking of axolotls, they are next. For the axolotls, I follow the same technique I used for the figure, again using EVA foam. I paint the little body a soft pink, warm and gentle. And of course, each one gets a cute little face. And although I use the same brush strokes again and again, each of them looks different with their own personality. I cut out the feelers from sturdy watercolor paper and, using a magnifying glass, carefully place them onto the head. With a gentle poke and some glue, I press the paper strips into place. Then I attach a dorsal fin and tiny legs before giving the whole creature a soft pink paint job. Now comes the part where everything comes together. Probably the most important step. Before I begin, I tuck a layer of soil beneath the pond. Just like in Minecraft, the water needs a base, otherwise we'd end up with a waterfall. Adding blocks distributed around the surface helps to keep the inside of the lid from looking too plain. The back is also decorated in the same way. Next, I attach the first floor of the house, and once the ground is stable, the water can be filled into the pond area. Now every part finds its place. I paint the edges of the base black and add some lettering underneath. I add 4 of these nupsies so it won't scratch the surface it stands on. In the game, I love using hedges to frame my builds. They make everything feel more like home. I leave a few blocks open at the front and the side. Enough space to imagine a little path to the door, maybe a garden off to the side. We are almost finished, but not quite. Time to visit the cave once more. I create some glow berries from artificial plants. I glue in some yellow berries onto fern-like greenery. These find their place in the cave, hanging from the ceiling and brightening up the corners. For the grassy areas in front of the house and inside the cave, I turn another artificial plant into small pink flowers, adding a touch of color and life to the scene. Next, I craft azalea bushes and drip leaves from watercolor paper. Drip leaves are pretty simple. Just a pixelated leaf, painted green and glued to a tiny stem of faux fern. But once placed near the water, something changes and it enriches the cave. The azalea bushes start as flat shapes cut from watercolor paper. I fold them, then glue the flaps together so they become three-dimensional. A nice touch of green gives them life. And with a few delicate pink dots, they quietly bloom. This will make the inside of the cave feel more natural and alive. Using the same technique, I mix bow blossoms, painting them pink and attaching small ivy leaves to the back before placing them onto the ceiling in the cave. Well, I honestly thought this would be a small quick project, but like any good Minecraft base, it just kept growing. It turned into a full-on world with tiny stories, a place where axolotls swim, the sun hits the leaves just right, and there's always one more block to place. Finally, the axolotls are placed gently in the water, completing the peaceful, serene atmosphere of the cave. I wanted to capture my Minecraft memories, and that's why there's no Mob or Steve standing up there, but me, proudly standing in front of my lovingly built house in the cherry blossom forest. Thanks to the open parts of the diorama, you can get a nice glimpse of the interior. Now it's time for some beauty shots. Let's take a closer look at the finished diorama. It's morning. The sun gently peeks through the window, warming your face as it rises over the quiet landscape. You stir beneath the covers as the soft sound of birdsong drifts in through the slightly opened window, crisp and delicate, like a promise of a peaceful day. You stretch, feeling every muscle come alive, a deep yawn escaping your lips. Slowly, your eyes flutter open, and there they are, the axolotls, swimming gracefully in a crystal clear pond outside your house. Their tiny pink grills wiggling happily in the morning light. The scent of moss and wet stone lingers in the air. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves outside your little house. You step outside. The world is blocky, yet full of life. A new adventure awaits, but for now, you just stand there for a moment, smiling. It's quiet, it's simple, it's home. So, this is my favorite Minecraft biome. What's yours? Thank you for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and maybe subscribe if you'd like to see what I build next. I'd love to have you join me for the next project. But until then, keep crafting and keep exploring. See you in the next one.